everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background, and I'm the author of the book Truth and Empathy, How to Find Your Soulmate. And I'll put a link to the book below. This video is how the four main personality types would perceive the Tokyo Olympic Games. Most of us know that the Olympic Games are going on right now, and a lot of people are watching these games, but I think it's a good idea to see how the four main personality, which means, let's say, the sensor judgers, the sensor perceivers, the intuitive thinkers, intuitive feelers would view these games. The Olympic Games are very much a visual event and also a physical one. So you'll see people will go there, will want to watch. Some people also probably practice these different sports. So I would say that sensors, so sensor judges and perceivers, would most likely be attracted to this type of activity of watching or even participating. But most specifically, I would think that the sensor perceivers would be the ones who are most interested in Olympic Games. So I have some notes here so I don't miss anything, because I think it's nice to sort of like dissect this idea. So, for example, when you think about the intuitive thinkers, the intuitive thinkers are most interested in abstract thoughts. So not that they won't watch some of the games, but they are more interested in something like the laws of physics, and maybe they want to explore just abstract ideas on their own. They'll be like in their lab, doing all types of research. So this is something that they might watch it once in a while, maybe like get the score, but I don't think these are the type of people who would spend a lot of time in front of the TV or even on the internet, in front of their computers to watch these games, especially if it's a type of games that, let's say, an activity or sport that requires a lot of hours to watch them and get to the end result. The same thing, let's say, with the intuitive feelers as a group is that they are interested in spirituality and meaning. So again, it's very abstract. We're talking about just ideas. So just imagine someone like Mother Teresa or even Oprah. Would they be really glued to the screen to watch the games? Most likely not. They might watch a couple of events, especially the ones that maybe that have more of an artistic sort of bent to it, but I don't think they'll be that enthusiastic to really watch it. Let's say if it's a soccer game and you have like different teams and it takes weeks to actually get to know who the winner is, I don't think they would be that type to do that. So let's say if we look also at the sensor judges, I would say more the masculine type would be more interested in watching games, especially if it's soccer or basketball or things. So maybe there's something that would interest a masculine energy. The feminine one, maybe not as much. Again, when you think about the sensor judges, the theme of their lives is duty and tradition. So maybe the traditional aspect of it, in terms of obviously you have like teams that they are very much like attached to, like let's say if it's part of their hometown and it's a tradition to watch this game at a certain time, that could be something appealing to them. But I would say that the feminine sensor judges might not be as interested in doing this type of activity, or especially if they sort of just watch it, even like in terms of participating in these games. So that I would not see them being that passionate about that. But when it comes to the sensor perceivers, I would say that most athletes, when it comes to the Olympic Games, are probably sensor perceivers, because these are people who tend to have a lot of dedication to what they're passionate about. So when you think about if you want to become an Olympic athlete, you have to devote probably easily 6 hours a day, 6 days a week for 10 years at the very least to get there. So you need someone who can totally focus on one thing, and it's almost like you have someone who has an imbalanced life for many years to get there. And sensor perceivers, when they choose an activity that they really like, they're the type to do that, to go all out, and they can almost be addicted. So they tend to be compulsive that way, and that compulsion is an asset when you're trying to become a top level athlete. And so let's see if we look at let's say sensor perceivers in terms of the different types. So you can have the masculine type, which let's say the ISTPs, ESTPs, and also you have the feminine type, which is ISFPs and ESFPs. So I would say, let's say certain sports, when you look at the Olympics, like say for boxing, weightlifting, fencing, I would say that mostly masculine energy would be interested in that because it's more aggressive, it requires brute force, and there is potential bodily harm. So you'll see feminine energy is less likely to want to engage in an activity that might harm them, like break a leg or end up even paralyzed or something. So they might stay away from. So you will see, I'd say that the sensor perceivers would be interested in these types of sports, as I said, like boxing, weightlifting, fencing. That probably would be more a masculine energy. The other aspect is whether someone would be interested in group sports versus just being alone. And I would say that someone who's a feminine energy might be interested more in that. Let's say like soccer for a female team, but even soccer for let's say even masculine team. Because again, when talking about this type of energy, we're not talking about if someone is male or female, but they're sort of whether they're right brain dominant or left brain dominant. So I would say that group sports are more attractive to people who have more feminine energy, but also probably people who are extroverts because they like maybe interact with others, having this sort of like back and forth, and they get energized by being with people. So group sports might be more attractive to them. The other thing also, if a sport puts a lot of emphasis on aesthetics or creativity, then it might attract more feminine energy. For example, synchronized swimming or figure skating or even diving. So everything that has to do with like, does it look good? Does it, how to put it together? More so than a masculine energy. So maybe when it comes to swimming, it would be like, let's say, like someone like Michael Phelps. That's someone who likes, on his own, and it's speed that gets you there. So it's different from if you're doing diving, which yes, it's still in the pool, but it has to do with how well you enter the water, if your form is well done. So it has to do with more of the like visual appeal of it, than just getting to the finishing line and winning the race. Also, some sports might attract more introverts. For example, let's say cycling or archery or downhill skiing. So if, let's say, this activity is played only on your own, and you almost are your own sort of like competitive sort of benchmark, I'd say that someone who's an introvert might be more interested in that, especially someone like a sport like archery. I mean, it's like trying to hit the bullseye. It's only you and yourself, and whether or not you are able to maintain a stable hand and have really good visual accuracy. So I would say with these sports, someone who's an introvert might be more interested in participating in those activities. So again, I think it's fascinating that when you look at the Olympic Games, whether someone is part of the audience or participating, you can see that the four main personality types do influence that. So I would say that, let's say if you look at the intuitive thinkers, intuitive feelers, they might not even watch it as much or even participate. The sensor judges, most likely the masculine type, would be more interested in watching these events. But I would say that sensor perceivers not only would be very much interested in watching those games, but probably most of these athletes are sensor perceivers because they're people who are very passionate about whatever they do. If they pick something, they're gonna, although normally they have a short attendance span, but when they devote themselves, they tend to be almost addicted to it and be compulsive. And you need that type of like focus and dedication to reach a level of an Olympic athlete. But the other aspect also is that depending on whether you're feminine energy or masculine energy, if you're an introvert or extrovert, you might be interested in different types of sports. Whether if it's something that's very aggressive like boxing, most like it's a masculine energy. If it's something that has to do with more aesthetics and proper form, like let's say synchronized swimming, you probably see more feminine energy that be attracted to that. If it's a group sport, most likely extrovert would want to do that because they like the interaction with other players, and they feel energized by doing that. And the other aspect also, if someone is an introvert, they might prefer a sport that only requires them to be alone, like as if you're a cyclist, that could be an activity that you might enjoy, or downhill skiing. So I trust that this information was interesting. Maybe you learned something. If you did, please click on the like button, subscribe to my channel. I invite you also to join the Truth and Empathy Personality Test Facebook group to discover your own personality type. Talk to you soon.